Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Wednesday, January 26, 2011. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. It's snowing again here in the East. 4:30 p.m. in London, 12:30 p.m. in Bermuda, 10:30 a.m. in Mexico City. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. On this day in 1950, the Republic of India was proclaimed. 3 months earlier, the People's Republic of China was proclaimed. So there was a whole lot of activity going on in an area of the world that probably represented about a third of the world's population in just 3 months. We'll go to our main news. Hiscox has become the latest Lloyd's entity to reveal an impact from the Christchurch September earthquake. They've announced that they now expect a £37 million hit from those earthquakes, including the aftershock. The estimate's based on an expected industry loss of about 6 billion New Zealand dollars. An analyst at Espirito Santo Investment Bank, Joy Ferneybough, said that Hiscox's estimated loss from the quake was below forecasts based on previous announcements from the industry. Last week, analysts at Espirito Santo predicted that Hiscox would face a £55 million impact. They were off by £20 million. Hiscox also said that overall they believe that the combination of the New Zealand quake, the Chilean quake, and European windstorm Xynthia will total 115 million pounds of damage, compared with its previous 100 million pounds estimate for just Chile and Xynthia. Hiscox said that 2010 had been a significant and expensive year for catastrophes, but that most of them had occurred in areas where Hiscox had deliberately reduced exposure due to weak rates. Hiscox also mentioned that they're estimating net claims from the recent very cold weather in England at about 16 million pounds. But they did say that their UK household business remained on track to make a healthy profit. They said that their position on the Australian floods are still evolving, but that it believed itself to be underweight in this sector. In Davos, Switzerland, where the World Economic Glitterati are assembling, Lord Levine, in a sideline discussion, chairman of Lloyd's, said that he expects that preparing for the implementation of Solvency II is going to cost insurers about $474 million, or 300 million pounds. Lord Levine said it's a lot of money and it's a diversion of effort. He said that Lloyd's had already stated it was likely to spend 250 million pounds preparing for Solvency II. Levine warned that although the concepts behind the new regulations was good, we need to get the details right, and it does take people's eye off the ball. That's an understatement, to be sure. Amlin has said that they are buying Managing General Agent J.R. Clare underwriting agencies. They're buying it from Mr. John Clare himself. They're paying about 30 million pounds, 47 million US. Amlin will underwrite 100% of Clare's business from now on. Amlin observed that Clare had been successfully sourcing business from London market underwriters since '99. They noted that recently Clare had lacked sufficient capital to continue to fund its operations and satisfy the FSA's solvency requirements. Insurance Times is saying that Lloyd's reinsurance broker United Insurance Brokers is in the preliminary stages of a capital raising exercise to fund organic growth. Insurance Times says that UIB, which maintains that it's staunchly independent, is currently in talks with potential outside investors. It's not clear what the investment will be used for, but a UIB source said that it could be looking to fund aggressive growth in emerging markets. Well, this will come as no surprise. AM Best has been prompted by the ongoing disruption in Tunisia to place its B+ financial strength rating on Tunis Re, a reinsurer, under review with negative implications. AM Best said, quote, although Tunis Re's daily operations have not been affected, it's currently impossible to determine the long-term effect this will have on their operations and liquidity. The rating agency noted that Tunis Re sources 68% of its business from Tunisia. Tunis Re was established in 1981 had net profits in '09 of $3.5 million. Swiss Re ranks Tunisia as the world's 73rd largest insurance market. Total premium for the country in '09 was $758 million. Also, back to Tunisia, Tunisia has issued an international arrest warrant for its ousted president, Zine Ben Ali, who fled to Saudi Arabia earlier this month amid violent protests. The warrant also extends to the arrest of Mr. Ben Ali's wife as well as other family members. And just an example of the kind of massive disruption that occurred during the civil strife, the Justice Minister said that more than 11,000 prisoners, about a third of the country's prison population, have been able to escape amid the chaos. Again, there was also civil strife in Egypt again this morning. Algeria seems calm and Jordan seems calm, but I do predict that this is not over on that northern Arab rim. Well, this is like Groundhog Day for Toyota out in Toyota City. Yes, it's true. Toyota is recalling nearly 1.7 million cars worldwide for fuel leaks. Toyota's latest recalls are mostly in Japan, but they also include the Lexus luxury models in North America. There were no accidents suspected of being related to the latest recall. Toyota said that it had received 77 complaints overseas, 75 from North America, and more than 140 in Japan. The largest number of affected vehicles was in Japan, about 1.3 million, and they're focusing on an improper installation of a sensor to measure fuel pressure that might cause the sensor to loosen as a result of engine vibration over time, and thus possibly cause fuel leakage. It's a pretty broad chain of events. Well, here's a news bulletin. Get ready. The 2008 financial crisis was an avoidable disaster. It wasn't inevitable, it was avoidable. It was caused by the widespread failures in government regulation, corporate mismanagement, and heedless risk-taking by Wall Street. Now, most Americans know that already, but this has been proven now by conclusions of a federal inquiry. This was the commission that investigated the crisis. It cast a wide net of blame and faulted two administrations, the Federal Reserve and other regulators, for permitting a calamitous concoction, shoddy mortgage lending, the excessive packaging and sale of loans, and risky bets on securities backed by those loans. The panel said the greatest tragedy would be to accept the refrain that no one could have seen this coming and thus nothing could have been done. If we accept this notion, it will happen again. The report, which was read by the New York Times and described in today's paper, is going to be released tomorrow as a 576-page book. It's going to make interesting reading, I'm sure. Last night was the State of the Union address in the United States. The President announced a freeze on government spending for 5 years and also suggested that the corporate income tax rate be lowered. Yes, he is still a Democrat. Stock market's down about 6 points. We'll go to a word from our sponsors.
designed for peace.
Well, on Monday, we reported yesterday that the General Counsel of Zurich Financial Services Germany reminded attendees at a liability insurance conference in Hamburg that German law prohibits reinsurance trading with Iran. Well, also on Monday, we now learn Iran carried out the first executions of activists detained in street protests after the disputed 2009 presidential election. It hung 2 men. The executions on Monday of the 2 activists were from the exiled opposition group, the People's Mujahideen of Iran. The executions came despite a plea by the U.S. in the person of Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, that they be freed. They were hung. It was not said where. Amnesty International said it was appalled. Clinton issued a statement indicating that she was appalled. There are still a dozen activists who were rounded up after those riots who are sentenced to death, who presumably are now going to begin to be hung. In Manila, in downtown Manila, in the business district on Monday, there was a bus explosion. Apparently it ended up killing 5 people. Investigators think that the bomb was triggered by a mobile phone. They're looking for 2 men who left the bus shortly before it exploded. Actually, the explosion occurred yesterday. It occurred Tuesday as the bus drove through the Makati business district. Officials don't know who was behind the attack, but they said the device was similar to bombs used by Muslim militants in the parts of the southern Philippines. That would be the Abu Sayyaf militant group. Well, everybody used to complain about how unprofitable the TARP program was. You might recall it was that program that helped save the banking industry in the United States and also single-handedly saved the U.S. automobile industry. But the U.S. is set to record a net of $312 million from its sale of the final 465 million warrants that it held to purchase shares of Citigroup. The sale of the warrants is going to close next Monday. It's going to allow the government to dispose of their remaining stake in Citibank that they had obtained through the TARP program. Overall, taxpayers are expected to end up with a $12.3 billion profit on the government's $45 billion investment in Citibank alone. The Treasury Acting Assistant Secretary for Financial Stability said, "As we exit our investments under TARP in private companies and recover taxpayer dollars and profits, it's clear that the cost of the TARP program will be a fraction of what many had once feared during the depth of the crisis." Think of the jobs that were saved. Colombian coal miners are trapped in a coal mine. This is after an explosion in a mine in northeastern Colombia. Supposedly 30 miners are reported to be trapped. The mayor of the town of Sardinata in Colombia said that 8 other workers have been found. Reports said that a buildup of gases had caused the explosion at the La Preciosa mine in Norte de Santander department near the border with Venezuela. Well, I don't know if many people can remember Chinese Premier Zhao Ziyang. He was this is not he, this is one of his successors. This is Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao. Zhao Ziyang was the premier who went out into the Tiananmen masses before the riot and actually had conversations and discourse with the hundreds of thousands of students and protesters who were there. He subsequently was sentenced to house arrest, where he lingered for many years until he passed away. Well, there must be something about the air in the premier's office, but this gentleman, Wen Jiabao, has been quoted by the Chinese state media as urging Chinese citizens to voice their criticisms of the government. Wen met farmers and workers, condemning land grabs and unpaid wages, among other complaints at the State Bureau for Letters and Calls in Beijing. Yes, there's actually a ministry named that. This is a rare public show of worry about discontent with the government. The Prime Minister told the people, "Please don't hold anything back. Just give me all of the facts. Our government, he went on to say, is a government of the people, and our power is granted by the people. The official Xinhua news agency said late last night that it was the first time since the founding of the People's Republic of China in 1949 that a premier had met ordinary petitioners. Chinese Central TV quoted the Prime Minister as telling visitors at the Bureau that the government must create conditions that allow citizens to criticize and supervise the government. I don't know about that, but I hope that Zhao Ziyang's house arrest home in the Forbidden City in Xiangnan behind the former Empress Palace is ready, because I have a feeling it's going to have a new tenant. Yikes. That's all the news we have for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. If not, thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.